Well, Paul, what can I say? What a great session. Obviously, the big issue we talked about today was your ability to aim the golf club. We can see here on the left that, on that footage here, you're trying to aim it at the yellow stake, which was the task. And you can see there clear that you're aiming off here to the right quite substantially. So we're looking here at the yellow stake, if you will. We're actually aiming here, way right of the yellow stake. If we extend that down, you can imagine the effect that would have on your target. You'd be some 20-30 yards right of where you were looking, and consequently there's going to be a lot of compensation during the golf swing. Setup's great, other than the fact that it's aimed way right of your intended target. In regards to the swing, much less club face rotation than we had. You do roll the club face, that's your tendency, so we don't want to get too bogged down in that. We obviously understand how to police that, keeping the club face square in the takeaway that you're doing in your waggle. If we look at the position you're in at the top, again, not too bad. Gets a little bit long, but again, we're not worried about being too perfect. That was the crux of today's lesson. We're trying to get to a stage where we can control the golf ball a little bit more. Move through, very, very static with the body. You can see that. Now, that's a result of you aiming too far right. The only way you can get that ball to start down your line, which you did a really good job of there, is to stop the body and allow the hands to flip. So the body stops and the hands flip, which allows you to square the club face up and get the ball to start where you're looking. So that ball's starting where you're looking, not where you're actually aiming. So the thing we discussed was not trying to be too perfect. We're finding it very difficult to aim at an object. So the idea was during the lesson to try and aim left of an object or right of an object, and get a little bit more concerned with where your club's pointing at address, so where you're aiming, not necessarily where your alignment is. And then also the intended, or the starting line of your shot. Get the ball started down your intended line. Now, if we take a little bit of time to look at Tiger hitting two different shots, what we're going to see is Tiger on the left is hitting a fade, and Tiger on the right is hitting a draw. Now, I've took the time to put on a circle and a line. The line is illustrating where the flag is on that shot, and the circle is indicating where your cane would be, if you will, if you were practicing in this manner. Now, on the left, we can see that Tiger is aiming left of the cane being directly in line with his intended target. So he's aimed everything. He's aimed the club left of the cane. He's then going to make his normal swing, and the ball is going to start down the line that he's aimed on. So you can see that ball starting down his intended line. Now we just freeze it there. I'll come back to that position shortly. If we look at Tiger on the right, he's hitting a draw. So you can see again that he's clearly aiming in this direction, to the right of that stake, if you will, that again is directly in line with his flag. So he's picked that, he's imagined that stake being there, he's aimed the club to the right of that stake. He's then going to make, again, his normal swing, and that's going to dispatch the ball down the line that he's aimed the club on. Now, if we look at those two positions, the position on the right where he's hitting a draw, the club face has arrived in that position, and on the left where he's trying to hit a fade, the club face is more in this position. So it's a slightly different release. He's held it off a little bit on the left to allow the ball to bend back to the right, and he's released it more on the right to get the ball to bend back to the left. Now, it's more clear on the right than it is on the left, but he's used that method because over here provides a much better option should he miss than over here. He isn't going to get up and down from out the lake. He can get up and down from out the bunker. So that draw shot, or that aiming right of his stick or right of the cane, has produced a shot that if it doesn't bend back, which I'm presuming with Tiger that one did, it usually does, at least if it doesn't bend back, he's in a much safer area of the green. So he's not necessarily trying to be perfect. You can see in both instances He isn't actually aiming at his flag. He's picked a direction in which he wants the ball to start, and he's aiming in that direction. He then alters his release slightly to get the ball to bend back to, or to bend away from the trouble, or bend back towards the flag. So, you know, it's not as advanced a method as you might think, but it's one that if you really get into, you can start to see some dramatic improvements in your overall scoring, because your misses will be much more manageable. You'll start to gain the ability to control where you're putting the golf ball around the course during the round. So, like I said, really good session, fantastic work today, and I think by the look of the smile on your face when you left, you're itching to get out on the golf course next time. Good luck with it. If you need any questions answering in the meantime whilst you're working on this, just drop us an email or pick up the phone. Best of luck. Bye.